So a few days ago I made a debunk video on one of the worst takes on the Mario vs Sonic debate, and that video performed very well, thank you guys very much for that. However, this young lad decided to make a part 2 earlier this year. Taking a look at the description, it says, I really didn't want to make this. I started this video back in January, it was 10 pages long, tons and tons of research. The video had more than 30 minutes worth of voice clips, and after a while it just felt like a generic versus debate and lost the spirit of the first video. So I decided, nah, it'd be more fun to shit on Sonic again. Don't take it so seriously this time, we're all having fun here. Ah yes, don't take it seriously, he says, as he wanks Mario and admits to shitting on Sonic for the second time. Please don't at me in your debunk videos. When I said it in the first video, I meant it. I'm finished with this topic. Well, take a guess what Riff's gonna do for 500, Jim. Let's begin.
Alright, now listen, you give him shit. First of all,
yeah, for context, his video was 10 minutes long, and he spends the first 3 minutes basically responding to comments that people have made and trying to, like, undermine them, saying, like, oh, you think Giganto could actually do shit at all? Which is funny, because a lot of those comments are quite based, actually. I read a couple of them, and yeah, they brought up some pretty good information, and this guy's just undermining them and being a dickhead. Go figure.
Second of all, that's all because I don't like to use outdated information.
Oh really? Do you now? The same guy who only used generation scaling and implied that that was the top limits for Sonic scaling, and the guy who overly hyped the Mario Galaxy scaling. Now that I think about it, I don't think you brought up the Paper Mario series, you didn't bring up Mario Odyssey, you didn't bring up any of those. You basically just overhyped the fucking Galaxy black hole feat. So really, you don't like using outdated information, do you? Well, that's funny, because in your original video, you did use outdated information. For both Mario and Sonic.
Unlike other Sonic fans who jump the gun quicker than Sega does releasing their unfinished games, I, on the other hand, like to wait until I have my ducks in a row.
I'm sorry, but if you're unironically gonna sit here and try convince people that you heavily researched, like the fucking tons and tons of research you quote-unquote did for this video, if you're unironically gonna sit here and try say that when you only brought up a couple of games for both characters, you are just an idiot. Now that I think about it, you only actually brought up one scan for Bowser, and that was to do with Mario and the whole surviving the black hole thing, once again. Compare that to my video on Eggman vs Bowser, where I had 40 different scans that I was showing in that video. You cannot unironically convince me that you do research.
Instead of releasing a sequel and then getting a bunch of dumbass questions about Sonic Frontiers Update 3 and Mario Wonder, I waited until Sonic Frontiers Final Horizon, Sonic Superstars, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder is released, and then I proceeded to eat like a king because holy hell, those games are so good.
Remember he says this, he's going to use Final Horizon scaling for Sonic. You need to remember this, because not only does Sonic have Super Sonic 2, who is much more powerful than base Super Sonic, but he also has Cyber Sonic. Looking forward to seeing him lowball Cyber Sonic.
But then I proceeded to cry like a baby because I knew when that video was finished I'd have to sit down and make this goofy ass video.
Well yeah bro, I don't know what to tell you. When you openly admit that you shitted on Sonic in the first video in the description of this video, then I don't know what to tell you. If you unintentionally, like, piss off one side, that's one thing. But when you deliberately do it, yeah, you bet your ass you're gonna receive backlash for it.
Alright, so let's just do a quick rundown of what I said in the last video. I said in terms of strength, Mario wins. Speed, Sonic wins. Durability, Mario wins. Power-ups, Mario wins. The dance battle, Sonic wins. Let's be real, Sonic won that dance battle.
Yeah, and in my first response to this guy, based on his own reasoning, Sonic would one-shot Mario. Because he tried lowballing Mario to universal and, like, lightning speed, or speed of light, maybe. So, yes, his hypothetical version of Mario, Sonic would effortlessly blitz and one-shot.
But for some reason, people didn't agree with me despite me being objectively right.
Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it? If people aren't agreeing with you, and especially if most Sonic fans don't agree with you, maybe you're just objectively wrong. Especially since I went over your video, and yeah, you lowballed the shit out of Sonic and Mario. So even if by some miracle you came to the right conclusion, you've still got there by ridiculous means. And that's something I want to talk about. There are some people that say, oh, you only debunk his videos because you're a Sonic fanboy. Yeah, that is a very narrow-minded way of viewing the world, because I'm pretty sure that regardless who you think wins, we can all agree that his reasoning is fucking stupid. Like, seriously? Speed of light Mario? That's the best you've got? Universal Mario, is that all? Fucking, like, light speed Sonic or planet level Sonic, that's the best you got? I don't really care if you think that Mario wins, and I don't really care if you think Sonic wins. At the end of the day, we're entitled to our opinions. But where I draw the line is where you deliberately lie or misrepresent one side just to favor your own biases. Especially when, once again, you admit to doing that in the description of this video.
So after thorough consideration, I figured we'd divide this video into 3 segments. First, I'm gonna briefly respond to Might of Geburah. Secondly, I'm going to respond to actual valid points made up in the comments. Then lastly, we're going to do a reevaluation of defeats upon the new releases. Ready?
Oh boy, can't fucking wait. I've got my bath salts ready, let's do this.
I don't care, we're about to start.
For the audio listeners, he's basically starting the whole responding to a guy who debunked him, I guess. I don't really keep up with this drama. I don't really know who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who's debunked him and who hasn't. This video was recommended to me, you know, so it is what it is. So let's look at him respond to someone who debunked his video, I guess.
Now, Might of Gatorade made a pretty in-depth response that is... Holy fish face! 40 minutes!
Man, props to him for doing 40 minutes. I did 27 minutes and I felt like ending myself after that.
Well, since this video is the length of a Disney Channel original movie, I'm obviously not going to cover every single point.
I don't know why I was expecting anything else. Oh, I'm going to be responding to this guy. Oh, but the video's too long, so I'm not going to respond to everything. Meaning that, yes, he's going to be cherry-picking specific points that he can actually respond to. Because, let's be honest, we all know that this guy ain't bright enough to respond to someone.
Honestly, throughout the video, I was snoozing, bro. It's just my lame-ass video with Might of Gatorade dubbing over the part that he didn't like. First,
yeah, for the audio listeners, I just subscribed to that guy. At the end of the day, he's a relatively small YouTube channel and he makes similar content to me, so let's see if we can get him to 1,000 subscribers. He's currently at 480.
He says that Sonic is universal because he defeated that nigga from Sonic Shuffle in base form.
And the fact that he defeated a Razor Jin at 50% power, he defeated Perfect Chaos, the Time Eater, Solaris, the Titans, the End, Infinite... Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of universal scaling for Sonic, and that's lowballing him. You can easily get him to multiversal, especially with his new forms.
Wrong! First of all, Sonic doesn't attack him directly. He drops rocks on him, bro. Secondly...
Oh, so you're using gameplay mechanics again? It's okay when we can use gameplay mechanics to wank Mario, but when it comes to gameplay mechanics and Sonic, no, we're gonna use it to lowball him. Especially as, once again, this is base Sonic that it applies to. And you admitted to waiting until Final Horizons to make this video. So, yes, by your logic, base Sonic can hold his own against a universal character. And as a result, Super Sonic 1, Super Sonic 2, and Cyber Sonic should be effortlessly able to do the same thing. What's your point?
He does it in base form while jumping in with the whole squad.
Once again, you admit that Sonic did it in his base form, which makes it all the more impressive since you gave Sonic access to his higher forms. And also, what's that? What's that? Fucking Sonic had help, therefore it doesn't count? Okay, so I guess by your own logic, Mario would have died to the black hole because he had help then. If the Lumas hadn't neutralized the fucking black hole and if Rosalina hadn't saved him, yeah, he'd be fucked. But you're gonna overhype the shit out of that feat even though Mario had help then. Like, we can do this. Like, if you're doing this for one side, we have to do it for both sides. Oh, and I guess by your logic, Mario has no access to his power-ups in that fight because, that's help. It's just help, guys. We can't allow help for Sonic, so we can't do it for Mario, right?
That nigga boy didn't even stand a chance. Next he gonna say that's the Sonic they got perfect chaos in base form. This makes him universal because the chaos members have infinite power. Wrong again.
Actually, it really isn't wrong, since universal scaling for Sonic even in his base form really isn't all that impressive, since once again, you're conveniently ignoring the fact that Sonic gets stronger, like, as the series goes on. It's confirmed in Sonic Colors DS, it's confirmed in Generations, it's confirmed in Forces multiple times, yet you're ignoring all of that. However, in Sonic and the Secret Rings, while Sonic was at 50% of his life force, meaning that he was at 50% of his power, he was still able to beat the Eraser Djinn in a fight. And at that point in time, the Eraser Djinn had absorbed at least three, of the Arabian Nights stories. Keep in mind that even before the game begins, he already has control of the Night Palace, which contains an infinite-sized realm, meaning that the Eraser Djinn, even at the start of the game, potentially was already at Universal, and he gets more powerful as the game goes on, and Sonic gets weaker as the game goes on, yet Sonic was still able to beat him in a fight, with Sonic logically growing stronger between the events of Secret Rings and Generations. So a full-powered Generation Sonic should easily be Universal. Like, that goes without saying. And that's not even factoring in characters that Super Sonic has faced, like Solaris, the Time Eater, the Titans, the End, all of which casually scale to multiversal, like at a low end. So I don't really see the point you're getting at.
The Chaos Emeralds do have infinite power. There's only so much power that you can draw from them.
Wait, what? The Chaos Emeralds have infinite power, but there's only so much you can draw from them? You do realize that even 1% of infinity is still infinity, right? Like, do you know how math works?
Hence why the Super Emeralds exist. They allow you to draw even more power, but they don't even exist anymore. Then?
For context, the Super Emeralds are basically the Chaos Emeralds that were amped with the help of the Master Emerald, with the Master Emerald consistently implied to be stronger than a full set of Chaos Emeralds, which, funnily enough, base Knuckles was able to beat a character who was amped by the Master Emerald, that being Super Mecha Sonic, with Sonic, even in his base form, being able to swap hands with Knuckles, and Super Sonic logically being massively above him. So it's pretty funny that you're trying to argue that the Super Emeralds are more powerful than the Chaos Emeralds, when even base Sonic and Knuckles should scale to characters who are amped by the Super Emeralds and amped by the Master Emerald. You're not doing a good job of this. Also, once again, by your own logic and by your own admission, Sonic in Generations scales above his past self, who was amped by this infinite amount of energy. So, yes, you can surpass infinity in fiction because fiction is fucking broken, and Sonic, by your own admission, has done this. So, I'll ask you again, what is your point here? It sounds like you're just coping or just deliberately trying to lowball Sonic, which, again, your description pretty much suggests that you are doing that.
Then, he said that Sonic can dimension hop because of Sonic Chaos. You see the zone end, and then the next zone is in a different dimension.
I mean, I kinda just don't believe you, since you're not actually showing him saying these things, it's just your word against his. Which, for people who haven't seen his original video, is pretty dishonest for them, because they've just gotta take your word for it. Although, interestingly enough, this is not the only time that Sonic has broken the laws of physics, since in Generations it's stated that he is fixing space-time with his sheer speed, meaning that yes, dimensional travel should honestly be casual for Sonic, since he literally breaks the speed equation, and he does it in a weaker version of his base form.
What? Then why doesn't he do that in Sonic Frontiers? Why does he need the gears?
Couple of things here. Number one, the gears are strictly gameplay and nothing more. Once again, you're trying to lowball Sonic with gameplay mechanics, yet you're all too happy to wank Mario with gameplay mechanics. The funny thing is that by your own logic, Mario's fodder because he dies in 3 hits in like the recent games. So again, way to be dishonest, I guess. But also, number two, Sonic does break out of cyberspace, and it's described by the End to be impossible to do so. And for context, Eggman needed pretty much the entire main story in order for him to break free from cyberspace. Yet Sonic is casually able to do it in his base form. So, again, what's your point?
And with enough dimensional back and forth, do you know what happens to your boy? Your nigga Sonic? He died! That blue motherfucker died!
Well, that's funny, because in the recent games, he's consistently and casually able to do it, even in his base form. And the last time I checked, he never died to it. I mean, yeah, he eventually died in Frontiers, but that was to a different thing. He absorbed too much cyber corruption. When it comes to dimensional traveling, or hopping in and out of cyberspace, yeah, he's casually able to do it. Also, before I get any comments, yes, I know the cyber corruption doesn't actually kill Sonic, it just causes him to go into a limbo state, but he may as well have fucking died, let's be honest.
Sonic is dead. Speaking of which, y'all ever think about how we get universal this, multiversal that? When Super Sonic almost croaked taking out the moon.
Not gonna lie, I was expecting this going into this video. Like, I expected one of the worst things he was gonna say was that the end is only moon level because it looks like a moon. I mean, by your logic, Superman's fodder because he looks like a human. Mario's human level because he looks like a human. Like, we can keep doing this. Like, just because you look like something, that doesn't mean shit. I mean, fucking Lucifer Morningstar looks like a mortal man some of the time. Are you gonna try saying that he's human? Fucking Death from Supernatural, he looks like an old man. Are you gonna try saying he's human level? Like, the way that you look in fiction doesn't mean shit. I really hate people that do this. By your logic, Giant Man is more powerful than Superman. It just makes no fucking sense.
And y'all say that he can touch Goku? The guy who only destroyed the universe with a punch?
Well, that's funny, because two weakened versions of Sonic were capable of beating the Time Eater, who was obliterating all of time and space. Weaker versions of the Super Forms were capable of beating Solaris, who was capable of consuming all existing timelines. So, yeah, I definitely think it's plausible.
Anyway, we moving on, bro. Ain't got time for it.
Oh, we're moving on? What a fantastic rebuttal you made. Just using gameplay mechanics to lowball Sonic when you use them to wank Mario. And appearance fallacies. You know, way to destroy any remaining credibility you might have once had.
Mighty Gatorade.
For the audio listeners here, he just flashed strength on the screen, meaning that I think he's gonna be going over their stats once again, meaning that fasten your safety belts, clench your ball sacks, this is gonna be a bumpy ride.
Now, a lot of people didn't quite agree with me saying that Mario was physically stronger than Sonic.
I mean, like I said before, I couldn't give a flying fuck if you said that Mario's physically superior to Sonic, but when you actively lowball Mario and hilariously lowball Sonic, yeah, you're an idiot.
Thing is, I don't care. Mario stays putting the paws on people out of his league, and his power-ups are always optional.
Oh yeah, his power-ups are always optional. Aside from Super Mario World, when you're forced to use the Tanuki suit against Bowser, and Super Mario Odyssey, when you're forced to use that fucking mind-controlling hat on Bowser in order to escape in the final battle. Or how about in Super Mario Galaxy, when you have Honeycomb Galaxy, or whatever the fuck it's called, where you need to use the B power-up? Or the fucking hot and cold Katy Perry Galaxy, which requires the ice power and fire powers respectively. Yeah, his power-ups are always optional, guys.
Like, he put the hands on Wonder Bowser, but y'all not ready for that combo. Mario can keep up with whatever reality-changing bullshit is thrown his way in the fight.
Because he scales to a universal character? I mean, a weaker version of base Sonic was able to do that at 50% power, so... cool. Mario still gets one shot, I guess?
He adapts in literally any conditions. Let's put this fight in the water. Who's winning now?
I mean, Super Sonic would still win. Like, you do realize that Sonic can go underwater, right?
Bro, how about the time Mario deflected shooting stars to knock literal spaceships out of the sky?
Oh look guys, he's using gameplay mechanics to wank Mario, when earlier in the video he used gameplay mechanics to lowball Sonic. Funny how that works. What's that? Mario reacted to things that are bound to the speed equation? Well, that's funny because Sonic, even in his base form, routinely breaks the speed equation. So, cool beans, I guess. Mario still gets blitzed. Like, it's fucking funny you're trying to wank Mario, but it's so obvious you have no idea what you're talking about.
How about Mario being able to use his hammer to throw literal spaceships as a baby? A fucking doodle diaper drooling baby? Y'all help me figure out what Sonic has done that even compares to that in his lifetime.
What's Sonic ever done in his life that's as impressive? Okay, so Sonic, in a weaker version of his base form at 50% power, was able to match what you are wanking for Mario's AP. In terms of speed, a weaker version of Sonic, in his base form, was also capable of routinely breaking the speed equation, meaning that, yes, by your own admission, Sonic would effortlessly blitz Mario. That's not even factoring in the shit he's done in his super form, like beating Solaris, fighting the End, fighting the Titans, fighting the Egg Wizard or the Egg Salamander, fighting Dark Gaia or Perfect Chaos. Yeah, what has Sonic ever done in his life that's ever as impressive as this, right?
Because anything y'all can name for Sonic, I can mention for Mario.
Oh, so anything Sonic has done, Mario can do better? Are you just openly admitting to being a Mario fanboy now? Like, I'm pretty sure even the biggest Mario fans on the planet don't agree that anything Sonic has done, Mario can replicate. Like, that's fucking stupid. But let's humor this argument for a second, shall we? So, you bring up universal scaling for Mario. Sonic, even in his base form at 50% power, a much weaker version of his base form, I should point out, was still capable of beating universal characters. So, yes, currently at least, Sonic is better than Mario when it comes to AP. Speed-wise, you have mentioned that Mario can react to things like shooting stars, which would logically be bound to the speed equation, since they are traveling a certain amount of distance in a certain amount of time. Whereas Sonic, even in his base form, was capable of breaking the speed equation altogether, such as traveling an infinite distance in a finite amount of time, or just flat out being able to restore time and space, meaning that the two things that make the speed equation altogether, Sonic is able to repair.
In Sonic Forces, Sonic can one-shot those giant Death Egg robots. In Super Mario Galaxy, Mario one-shot the giant Bowser robot.
Love how he conveniently forgets that Sonic in Forces could also beat the Death Egg robot that was amped with the full power of the Phantom Ruby. For context, Eggman stated that this version of the Death Egg robot should surpass Infinite and already has surpassed him. And for context, Infinite, even with an incomplete Phantom Ruby, Eggman stated would be 1,000 times more powerful in the English port, or 1,000,000,000,000 times more powerful in the Japanese port than anything he has ever created in his life, which would logically include things like the Egg Salamander and the Egg Wizard. So this isn't really that good of a comparison. You're comparing mechs that should easily be universal to multiversal to like a large building level robot. Yeah, that's not a great comparison. By this logic, the kaiju in Pacific Rim scale to Godzilla just because they're all giant monsters. It's like, yeah, you're not necessarily wrong, but to say that they scale 1-to-1 to each other is fucking dumb.
Sonic has access to time travel technology, so does Mario.
What's that? Mario needs technology to traverse time and space? Base Sonic could repair all of time and space, and he doesn't need technology to do it. So, +1 for Sonic, I guess.
Sonic has an invincibility power-up, so does Mario.
Fucking lol, gameplay mechanics once again. You do realize that even base Sonic can achieve invincibility, right? Like, base Sonic has an invincibility power-up. Also, couldn't you spin this entire argument in reverse? That anything Mario can do, Sonic can also do? Like, oh, Mario has time travel tech, Sonic can time travel with his sheer speed alone. Oh, Mario can become invincible, yes, so can base Sonic, and he also has a super form that not only grants him invincibility, but also amps his other stats and gives him new abilities. Like, you could make this entire argument but for Sonic. I don't know why it's so much of a gotcha for Mario.
As a matter of fact, let's talk about that. People say that White Suzuki Mario can't hang because lava takes him out. Nigga, the same could be said for Super Sonic.
Funny how you know that gameplay mechanics don't matter when it comes to Sonic, but when it comes to Mario, oh no, gameplay matters. Like, he can do crazy shit in gameplay, therefore it's canon, right? Also, funny how he's not even mentioning Super Sonic 2, which is literally Super Sonic but better in every way. And he's not mentioning Hypersonic, which is a form that Sonic's had ever since the 90s, and he's also not mentioning Cybersonic.
Well, let's say that Super Sonic is weak because in Sonic Superstars, Super Sonic can get clapped by a basic-ass laser from Fang's airship.
Okay, and? Like, that's classic Sonic that applies to. It's a much weaker version of Sonic than his modern counterpart. We see this in Generations, and funnily enough, even in Generations, classic Super Sonic is able to help modern Sonic take on the Time Eater, who is a threat to all of time and space. So, once again, stop using gameplay mechanics, you fucking spoon.
No, it's called a depth barrier. Gameplay mechanic. Canonically, this form is completely invincible.
Introduce him to a bottomless pit and tell me if he's still invincible. For the audio listeners, he's moving on to speed, which is a fucking hoot, since he claimed, oh, I like using my own research, you know, I actually do research, unlike these Sonic fanboys. Proceeds to mention that he waited until Final Horizons. yet didn't bring up Supersonic 2 or Cybersonic. Fucking hypocrite.
Alright, now half of y'all didn't get what I meant when I said that Mario's reaction speed is on par with Sonic's movement speed.
Yeah, because you're a gremlin and you didn't give any good feats for Mario's speed. I mean, you lowballed him to what? Light speed? You do realize that even base Sonic can break the speed equation, right? So if you don't give any infinite speed feats or inaccessible or immeasurable or any of that shit for Mario, he's still getting blitzed. Like, it doesn't matter if he's quadrillion times the speed of light. If he's still bound to the speed equation, he's getting blitzed by someone who can break the speed equation. That's literally how it works.
Typical Sonic fans lacking media literacy.
All this coming from the Mario fanboy who uses gameplay to wank Mario and then uses gameplay to lowball Sonic. Interesting.
Mario ain't beating Sonic in a foot race, bro. Too much pasta and ravioli. However, there's nothing that says Sonic's base form is faster than light. And even if there is, Mario claps that.
Once again, you're completely ignorant to the fact that Sonic grows much more powerful over time, so fucking lol, you bringing up scans from the very first Sonic game to try justifying he's Mach 1 of all things. But let's humor this argument, shall we? Because apparently Sonic has not done any speed feats faster than light, and even if he has, Mario can surpass them. So, base Sonic, even in Sonic and the Secret Rings, was capable of traveling across the Night Palace, which contains an infinite-sized realm across its astral plane, meaning that Sonic was able to break the speed equation, since he could travel across an infinite-sized distance in a finite amount of time. Meaning that I don't give a fuck how fast Mario is, how many times faster than light he is, millions, billions, trillions, he would still be bound to the speed equation. Meaning that yes, unless you can demonstrate Mario also breaking the speed equation, he's getting blitzed. That's literally how it works. Infinity is always above finite. Moving on to generations, we see that he is capable of fixing space-time with his sheer speed alone, which would be another example of him breaking the speed equation, since space-time is just distance and time. And in Sonic Forces, it's stated by Infinite that Sonic has surpassed anything he was previously capable of. So yes, breaking the speed equation altogether is honestly casual for Sonic, even in his base form. That's not even factoring in things like Supersonic, where he was able to fight in a timeless realm against the Time Eater. No, let's not factor any of that.
I'm not gonna go over it again, I'm not gonna repeat myself. If you wanna know, watch the last video again.
Jesus Christ, this guy's mad. What, did you only masturbate to your amiibo collection twice today? Also, fucking lol, every single speed feat you brought up for Mario is still bound to the speed equation. Meaning that by your own logic, base Sonic would still blitz Mario. You are not doing a good job of representing Mario. For the audio listeners here, he's moving on to durability, which should be a hoot, since he's fucked up 2 of the categories so far. Let's see if he can fuck up a 3rd.
Next, we get the allegations with Sonic being able to survive the erasure of existence. You go what? Did we watch the same thing? The Time Eater slapped his ass once and put him straight to sleep. He was erased.
Supersonic beat the Time Eater, just thought I should mention that. He seems to have a very big habit of misrepresenting Supersonic or just forgetting he exists.
The script is so fucking dumb. The Time Eater slapped his ass once and put him straight to sleep. He erased Sonic's history, not existence.
Okay, and the Sonics were capable of restoring space-time with their sheer speed alone, so what's your point? Also, I know that you're foaming at the dick tip at the fact that Sonic got knocked out, but he still survived a hit from the Time Eater. Like, you're not gonna talk about this? You did this in the previous video where you were like, oh, Sonic got one shot by Giganto, but you're failing to mention that Giganto is the same character who required Supersonic to beat, same with the Time Eater. Like, this is something that's so dumb. It's like, if I survive a punch from an enraged Superman, it doesn't matter that it sent me to hospital, I still survived it.
It could erase time and space. I then had the brilliant idea to use my discovery to undo my previous defeats.
The Time Eater was in his infancy.
I stumbled upon the primordial form of this unique creation.
Why do you think it was the only entity Eggman was able to harness? Sonic didn't restore time with his speed.
You sure about that?
That thing keeps jumping back and forth through time, consuming the dimensional energy. And all that's left behind is this lifeless white void. The Sonics are the one constant here. Their speed is restoring space-time.
He redid all the shit that Eggman undid, thus restoring his timeline. What do y'all be smoking, bro? Y'all want to talk about reality warpers? Fighting reality warpers? Because Dreamy Bowser is just the Void on steroids, and Mario and Luigi put the hands on them directly in base form. Y'all want to talk about surviving time erasure? Because Mario was chilling right in the center of the rebirth of his universe.
Is anyone gonna tell this guy that surviving a black hole, with help I want to point out, which earlier in the video he was like, oh, Sonic had help to perform this thing. Technically Mario has help here, the Lumas and Rosalina help save him, so I guess by your own logic you're a hypocrite, although let's be honest, this should have been apparent by now. But yeah, is anyone gonna tell him that surviving a black hole doesn't equate to time erasure? Also, Sonic in a weakened form could also survive a black hole and outrun it, so you know, Sonic could outrun a black hole in Sonic Shuffle, yet Mario couldn't outrun this black hole in Mario Galaxy, but I feel like you're not going to talk about that for obvious reasons.
We can't even say the same for Super Sonic. We've seen him take damage. We've seen Sonic always push himself to his limits. We literally never see Mario even try with half of these feats I'm bringing up.
Okay, and the feats that you're bringing up aren't as impressive, so who cares? Also, fucking lol, you showing Super Sonic knocked out after Sonic has to literally go all out in a form much more powerful than Super Sonic to beat the end, a threat to all of creation itself. So are you going to talk about Cyber Sonic and how, you know, he was so powerful that exerting himself resulted in Super Sonic being knocked out? You're not going to talk about that, are you?
He pulls all this shit off with a smile on his face and a skip in his step without any visible strain.
Well, yeah, of course he does. The Nintendo consoles are a piece of shit and can't register facial animations.
This man is a cartoon character who does whatever the plot needs him to do.
Okay, so why does Mario lose? Like, if Mario can do whatever the plot needs him to do, then why does the plot make him lose every now and then? Like, how is that a good argument?
We'll never see Mario push himself to his limits because Mario isn't a character that needs to be limited. Which brings me to my last point.
Death of the author fallacy. In Mario Galaxy, Mario would have likely died to that black hole if the Lumas hadn't saved him. So, oh, Mario can do whatever the plot needed him to. Technically he actually can't because the plot needed him to die. Because he was going to die if the Lumas hadn't saved him. Meaning that the plot had to save him because he couldn't do it himself. What a great argument you're making.
Something that recently sent shockwaves through the Versus community. This infamous quote from Miyamoto, confirming that every Mario we take control of in the games is considered the same Mario.
That literally doesn't matter in the slightest, because even if you use composite games Mario, he still gets fucked by Cyber Sonic.
Do you know what can of worms this opens?
Evidently you don't, because if you did, then you would have talked about this a long time ago. Also, fucking lol once again. Oh, we can use composite Mario. Forgets about Sonic's stronger forms. Like, you kinda just use his base form to lowball him. You don't really talk about Super Sonic or Hyper Sonic, or Super Sonic 2, or Darkspine Sonic, or Excalibur Sonic, or even the Werehog Sonic, or even Cyber Sonic. Like, you basically are not very good at this, although let's be honest, you're just a Mario fanboy. This video shouldn't go on much longer.
This shouldn't even be too much of a surprise because Mario's a series never known for its consistency.
So Mario's inconsistent, that's what you're telling us. So he's inconsistent as shit in terms of power?
The Mushroom Kingdom literally looks different in every single game. So why is it wild to believe that nothing else is gonna change? You don't look at SpongeBob and say that it's different because they changed his backstory 3 times, or the fact that Paper Mario could very easily just be a retelling of an adventure that actually happened in the past.
I love how he's willing to use scans from SpongeBob of all things, yet he's not willing to use any good scans for Sonic. Like, honestly, what a joke.
Paper Jam is nothing more than that book being brought to life. Okay, crazy fan theories as the way. The point I'm making is that Mario has so many crazy scenarios and cartoon absurdities that this is a pointless conversation. One comment put it the best. This is clearly just Diet Popeye versus Diet Goku. And frankly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, yeah, no shit you wouldn't, because you're a Sonic hater and a Mario fanboy. Also, who the fuck cares that Mario is quote-unquote a cartoon character if he can still lose in his own verse? Like, where he needed the Lumas to save him in Super Mario Galaxy. It's pretty funny how you're mentioning that he has all this cool, crazy, top-of-the-line universal scaling and it's all fancy and shiny from Mario Galaxy. But you conveniently forget to mention that Mario needed saving in Mario Galaxy 1. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm done with this. I'm gonna wrap this up. Like, it's so obvious that he's just a Mario fanboy at this point. I don't know what I was expecting. Yeah, the whole 100% factual thing, that's a load of bullshit. He even admits that he goes out of his way to lowball Sonic, so I'm not going to waste any more time on him. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all the rest of it. I'm fairly certain we've hit rock bottom for Mario vs. Sonic. I refuse to believe that there's anyone more stupid than this guy. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.